Hi, I'm Morgan, and my boyfriend Harrison and I are traveling Europe for 6 months. Let's get right into it. How the are we affording this? Yeah, this video is basically an explanation of how we can afford to travel for so long and how you can too. And that sounds like a scam, but it's not. We're not rich, we didn't win a contest or something, we're not getting paid by anybody to travel, no one's paying for us, and we're not getting any money out of this, out of any of these videos or anything. Although, maybe you could change that if you hit subscribe. Eventually, maybe. The ways that we can afford to travel are the same ways that anyone can afford to travel. We're not special, there's no secrets here. You can do the exact same things that we have done. I mentioned we're not rich, and I want to reiterate that a little bit. I mean, I have college debt, we both have phone bills, insurance bills, I mean, everything, normal stuff that everybody has. And we're paying for this whole trip right out of our own pockets. I just don't want you to write off travel as only a rich person thing, or only something that people can do if, I don't know, their family is rich or they win money or something, because that's not true. I do want to acknowledge, though, that it is much easier financially and otherwise for us to travel because we don't have kids or family to take after or a house that we own or anything. I still believe that those people can absolutely travel, even if they're not rich, but I'm not going to say that it's as easy for them to travel as it is for us with not that many responsibilities. Yeah, I just want to point that out. I'm not oblivious to the world. But anyway, let's get started by talking about how we saved to travel and what we did before we actually left. We went to Italy 2 years ago, and right after that we knew we wanted to travel again. We didn't think it would be for this long, but we knew we wanted to travel, so we started saving right away. Okay, so between the time we traveled 2 years ago to now, we knew we wanted to travel again, and we lived a pretty cheap life compared to most people. We don't go out to eat ever unless we have a gift card. We don't buy expensive things, but we still, during those 2 years, lived, I don't know, we still had fun, we still went out, we still did things with friends, went to events and bought video games and things like that. But during the last 6 to 8 months before we left to travel, that's when we really started to buckle down and start saving a lot. So I started to track my spending. I would track everything I got in income and everything I had to spend on rent, food, clothes, things like that, and that really helped to kind of show me where I could spend less and where maybe I could actually get more money. So I also started to do things to get more money for the trip. So I started to pick up more shifts at work, do stuff on the side, like for me it was painting commissions, and sell our old stuff that we didn't want anymore. Things like that, just basically getting as much money as we can, working a lot. It took a little bit of dedication those 2 years, but mostly the last 6 to 8 months is when we really got frugal. So yeah, that's what really helped us save for the trip. It was just not spending on unnecessary things, living really frugally, and working more. Groundbreaking, I know. I told you, there's no secrets here. Okay, next step was to plan the trip and how I planned it in a way that would save us money. I know it's a lot of fun to have the idea that you can just go somewhere and plan as you go, and maybe the wind takes you here and you go there and you meet some friends and they're going to Prague, so you want to go to Prague, and yeah, that's freaking awesome. But I'm here to tell you, if you want to travel like that, you want to go somewhere and not have anything planned, no Airbnbs, no hotels, no nothing planned, and you just want to fly by the seat of your pants, that's all well and good. But for the most part, if you're going to do that, you gotta make sure you have a lot of money. You buy things last minute, hotels, Airbnbs, anything, it's going to be very expensive. This happened to us. And also, if you don't plan certain things, you could end up in a place and not realize, hey, this is closed this time of year. Or, hey, on Tuesdays, and that's the only day you're there, it's closed. Or, you know what I mean? So then it wouldn't be worth your time to have traveled there if you had just researched it before. So I do a lot of planning. I'm very crazy about planning, to be honest. I feel like you should plan as much as possible. Get everything now. The only thing I say you don't have to worry about is like bus and train tickets. You can always buy those there unless that's like a really major thing. It's a really romantic idea to just plan as you go and go wherever you decide to, but I can't afford to live that way. That's expensive. Everything you buy last minute, accommodation or tickets or whatever it is, you're gonna pay like twice as much than if you had just planned it ahead. And I can't afford to pay twice as much for things. A lot of people ask me where do I go to find flights and if I can find cheap flights, and honestly, I don't have any secret answer. I don't use anything special. The only thing I do to find The only thing that I do to find flights, I make sure to go on incognito mode on your browser because I've heard that they can jack up the prices. If the cookies see that you have searched for a flight and then you come back to it a week later or a few days, they might jack up the price because they know that you want that flight. So definitely go on incognito mode. I don't know if that's true. It's what I read, so that's what I do. But I just use like Google Flights. I check a few sites to make sure they're the same price, like Skyscanner, things like that. And I usually buy through the actual airline itself just to get rid of any middlemen problems, things like that, unless they're cheaper, in which case I'll just take the risk. So as far as accommodation goes, we use Airbnb. Sometimes we use the odd hotel if it's like really weirdly cheap or something like that, but we almost always use Airbnb because it is the cheapest option and I think the best option. You get so much more. For less than the price of a hotel, you can get your own house or your own apartment. You get a washing machine, a dryer, a kitchen, you get 2 floors, you get like a yard, I don't know, all these things, and if you pay twice as much, you'll just get a small hotel room. People are weirdly still scared about Airbnb. I mean, whatever, it's good. I guess there's more open for me to use. It's actually kind of weird to me because people will recommend hostels over an Airbnb, which hostels are way more unsafe, and you know what's weird? They actually cost more most of the time than an Airbnb. For 2 people, it costs less to have an Airbnb than it would to have 2 beds in a hostel. I'm not kidding. Look it up. Yeah, I'm sure there are exceptions. I'm sure there are, but it's crazy. Airbnb is cheaper than a hostel, and you get so much more. You don't have to share your room with a bunch of people who are really loud all night and dirty and whatever. I've only used a hostel once on this trip. That was because there were no more Airbnbs left because we waited too long to book one. It was very expensive, and it was a pretty bad experience, and that's a story for another day. But we're not just using Airbnb. We're not paying to stay our whole trip. We actually found something called trusted house sitters. One of the biggest reasons that we can stay so long in Europe and traveling is because we are doing a lot of house sitting. In Germany and in England, the majority of our time spent there is house sitting. So all we do is we go on the website, Trusted House Sitters, and you can go on the map, search up any country, Italy, Paris, wherever you want to go and see the house that's available. It's called Trusted House Sitters, but usually you'll be pet sitting. So that's really the reason that people are on there. They want you to watch their dogs or cats or something while they're gone because they don't want to put them into a kennel or something. And yeah, we've had fantastic experience house sitting, like fantastic. We met such lovely people, the cutest animals. It's been really great. It's really great because it's super symbiotic. Like you as a pet owner, you don't have to pay for someone to go walk your dog. Then the dog's alone so many hours. You just have someone who lives in, who will be with them. They don't have to be lonely. They'll have the love that they want instead of in a kennel. So it's great. And then you as a house sitter, you get somewhere to stay for free, which is, it's like the biggest cost of travel is accommodation besides your plane tickets, but that's a one-time cost. Your accommodation is so expensive, and you as a house sitter, you get to stay in these places for free, and yeah, all you have to do is just take care of some pets, and like half of our house sits are cats. I mean, how easy is that? You just feed them twice a day, give them love if they want it because they're cats, and it's like an unbelievably great deal. And yeah, we don't get paid for house sitting. I think maybe some people will pay you for it, I don't know, but we haven't been paid for it, but it's been so invaluable to us. I mean, without trusted house sitters, or without, I feel like an ad for them. I'm not sponsored or anything, although that would be amazing. But without house sitting, we would have had to cut our trip in half, I think, at least, because we wouldn't have been able to afford it. I mean, this has been a game changer. House sitting has changed the way I travel. We've had the craziest experiences. We've stayed in the same room that the Dalai Lama stayed in. I've stayed in the top floor, the biggest suite, the best suite of the whole hotel, with amazing views, free continental breakfast. Like, the places I've been able to stay because of house sitting are unbelievable. And you should just go on there and search. You can stay in Paris and London. We're going to be in London for about a month house sitting. Think about it. We don't have to pay for accommodation for a month in London. The weird thing is, whenever I tell people about house sitting, it's like they don't hear me. Like, it's like I'm the only one who realizes how amazing this is. When I tell people it goes right over their head. They don't want to look at the website, they don't want to think about it, they think it's a scam or something, even though I've been doing it for months. If you're listening to this, don't glaze over your eyes at this. This is like probably the best thing we've ever found to travel. It's the best. If there was any secret to our success of traveling, it would be house sitting. So yeah, house sitting, Airbnb, and there's one more thing that we did. We did this thing called Workaway, which is basically volunteering. We did it once in Slovenia. It was really awesome. Just make sure you do your research into it, so you look at the reviews and you make sure you're okay with what you're going to be doing. What we did is we just made breakfast and dinner 5 days a week to people at a mountain biking bed and breakfast in the Alps of Slovenia. It was so cool. And we made breakfast, we had all day, and then we made dinner, and then we had weekends off and everything. But we had so much time, and our host was so nice. We had bikes, we could go around the Alps, and they would drive drive us wherever we wanted to go, and it was like a highlight of our trip. It was such a cool experience. But after we found trusted house sitters, we stopped doing workaway because it was much less work. You just have to take care of a pet and you have this free accommodation, whereas workaway you actually have to like do work. Like we had to cook, which wasn't hard work or anything, but house sitting is even less work, so of course we opted for that. And another thing is, whenever I tell people we use workaway and house sitting, it's like they forget about house sitting or don't want to think about it and they just ask about workaway. Maybe the house sitting seems too good to be true. Maybe that's it. I don't know why nobody seems to care about it or understand what I'm talking about. Like I literally tell people about house sitting and they're like, yeah, sure. I think they don't believe me. I don't know what it is, but I've been doing it. It's real. I'm doing it in a few days and I just did it. Like, whatever. Don't sleep on it, I'm telling you. Okay, so once you're done your planning, you found your house sits to do, maybe you're doing a workaway here, you got some Airbnbs in between, you're all good, it's time to go on your trip, it's time to go. While you are traveling, there are still things you can do to save money and travel longer. So remember how when we were saving to travel, we were really living frugally? Well, that's how we're going to live when we're traveling. The reality is, we don't travel the way that you probably want to travel. We do everything we can to save money. We literally do not go out to eat. We have gone out to eat a few times because people have been kind enough to take us out to eat. Our house sitting host have taken us out to eat, but the most we've gone out to eat would be getting pizza or like McDonald's because they have veggie burgers in Europe. But we literally buy groceries at the grocery store and we make food because we have Airbnbs or house sits, so we have kitchens so we can cook food. And yeah, we don't go to things unless we're really, really interested in them. So we've seen tons of castles. A lot of them you can pay to get in. We have only paid to go into one, which was Neuschwanstein Castle in Germany because it's like the craziest fairy tale castle of them all. But as much as I would love to go into each and every castle, I don't. Because unless it's really, really something I really need to do, I'm not going to pay for it because it's just money in the wind for every whim that you have. We don't go shopping. I know a lot of people like to shop when they're traveling. We don't do that. We can't do that. We have no room to do that. If we do go shopping, it's for presents for our family, or if we really need something, like I needed boots because the soles of my shoes had broken, so I had to buy new shoes. But I don't, go shopping. You don't get souvenirs. Oh, well, you could get tiny souvenirs or whatever. I'm sure you'd be fine. But we don't take taxis or Ubers, we walk. So whenever possible, we walk. We try not to spend any extra money on buses or transportation because already a lot of our budget is going to transportation, so when we don't have to spend it, we won't. So that means walking a lot. It means we have walked uphill in sweltering heat, Harrison carrying all of our bags. I don't know how we did it. So whenever we go to a new city and we get dropped off at the train or bus station, we just walk to our Airbnb from there. We never take an extra bus or something, so that could be an hour or two walk. That could be, maybe it's 5-minute walk, but we do a lot of walking to save money. So yeah, basically we live very frugally while traveling, which is not the way a lot of people like to travel. A lot of people like to shop, to go out to eat, to not have to walk an hour. So yeah, it's just the reality. If you are passionate about travel and you want to see the world and you don't have a lot of money, it's just what you have to do. But if you're not someone who's grown up with money, then you're already used to this, and that's great. So to sum it all up, how we can afford to travel for so long: we saved, we worked a lot before we left, we house sit, we did workaway, we used Airbnb, we try our best to cut down on transportation costs by just walking, we don't go out to eat, we don't go shopping necessarily, we don't pay for things unless we really, really want to see them. Yeah, we just basically live frugal and stretch our dollars as much as possible. And that's how we can travel the world. Amazing, right? What crazy information. It's nothing new. Perhaps the only thing you maybe didn't know that I talked to you about was like trusted house sitters and workaway. So take that, especially house sitting. I don't know why no one does it. It's like amazing, although maybe you shouldn't do it so I can have more house sits. I don't know. But yeah, that about sums it up. That's how we do it. You can totally do it too. It's not as hard as it seems. Nowadays, it is so easy to travel. I mean, you can get round trip flights to Ireland or England, like so cheap. It's crazy. All you have to do is spend 5 minutes looking into it and you'll find ways to do it. So if you're serious about travel, you can totally do it. It's not as hard as it seems. It's not as daunting as it seems. Just don't live like you are a millionaire and you'll be fine. Growing up, I never ever thought I could travel. Travel was a distant dream I thought just I would never be able to do. Traveling to Europe, to Italy, to Germany, to all these places was just a faraway dream. And when I grew up, I just researched it and I realized, hey, I can actually do this. And it's so empowering to go to these places that you dreamed about your whole life and you're there in person and you're like, holy shit, I got myself here. And You can do that. I'm telling you, it's not that hard. You can do it. I hope this encourages you. You have the right stuff to do it. We're nobody special. There's nothing special about us. We didn't get, you know, a really crazy leg up or something. Yeah, I'm gonna just shut up now. Thank you for watching. Please hit subscribe, and yeah, bye!